Miss Liz here. Thank you so much for joining me today in Mini Mad Science Lab. Today we are going to be creating fizzy dinosaur eggs. But before we get started with this experiment, there are a few things we must go over first. If you registered for this program, you should have received a science kit. In your science kit, you will have most of the things you will need for this experiment. However, there are a few things you will need from home to complete the project. So in your science kit, you should have received a bag of baking soda, a little condiment cup with some food coloring. Mine is red, you might have a different color. 3 plastic cups, a plastic dropper, and you should also have 3 mini dinosaurs and some vinegar. Yours will be in a sealed cup, but I already have mine poured out and ready to go. In addition to those items, you also will be needing a few things from home, including a 1 tablespoon measuring spoon, a half cup measurer. You can use a measuring cup like the one I have here, or even the measuring cup that you pour out of. Whatever you have at home works fine. You will also need a spoon to stir with. And you will be needing 4 bowls. 3 of those bowls you'll be using for mixing the dinosaur eggs, and the 4th one you'll be using for pouring your baking soda into. As you can see here, I just have these 4 foam bowls. You can really use a cereal bowl, a Tupperware container, kind of anything you can mix with. And you'll also be needing a plate or a tray, something that you can mold your eggs on. I don't recommend using a paper or foam plate just because the vinegar might soak through it. So if you have a plastic plate, a regular glass plate, a plastic tray, even an aluminum pan at home, that would work best. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing in any science experiment you will want to do is make sure you have clean hands and a clean surface, which I have both of. I just cleaned my hands. I just wiped down my tray here. So now is the time to go ahead and quickly clean your hands, wipe down your surface, and make sure you are all clean and ready to go. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to fill your 3 little cups here with 2 tablespoons of water. That is something else I forgot to mention you'll be needing at home. I'm assuming everyone has a sink at home. So go ahead and fill up 2 tablespoons. So you're going to fill up your 1 tablespoon measuring spoon twice and fill up each of your 3 cups with 2 tablespoons of water. Once you have that done, go ahead and set them aside. Now I'm going to tilt my camera down so I can show you the next step in our experiment. So next, go ahead and open up that condiment cup of food coloring. And we are going to just pour a few drops of our food coloring in each of these little cups here. So you might want to just be careful when you're pouring because you won't want to dump all of it in at the same time. So just put a few drops in each cup of water there. All right. It may also be useful to have a paper towel handy because this experiment will get a little messy. Next, we're going to take our spoon and we're going to stir each cup. And then we will set that aside for now. Next, we are going to take one of our bowls. Like I said, I have these foam disposable bowls here, but you can really use any kind of bowl or container you have at home. And we're just going to use one of these bowls to pour our baking soda into. That way when we're scooping and measuring, it's a little bit easier rather than trying to dig our measurer into this bag here. So just go ahead and pour your baking soda out into a bowl. And then we can get started. Okay, so now that we have our food coloring and water poured out, our baking soda poured out, we are ready to go. All right. So next we're going to take those 3 other bowls. I'm gonna have to make some room here. And just kind of put them out in front of you. We are going to be making 3 Fizzy dinosaur eggs, so we're basically just going to be repeating the steps 3 separate times. So next what we're going to do is we're going to take our half cup measurer and we're going to put a half a cup of baking soda into each of these 3 bowls. So go ahead and measure that out. One half cup in each bowl. As you are measuring out, you will notice that you will have some extra baking soda. I did give everyone some extra baking soda because once we are molding and kneading the dinosaur eggs, there is a chance that you might need to add in a little bit more baking soda if your mixture is a little too wet. So if you find that after you measure out your baking soda into your bowls, you have some extra, then don't worry, that's totally normal. All right, so once you have all of the baking soda poured out into your 3 bowls, then next you're going to pour 1 cup of the water and food coloring into each of those 3 bowls. So 1 cup of food coloring and water into 1 cup of baking soda. And when you're pouring that in, you'll kind of already hear a little bit of fizzing. That's just the way that the water is kind of soaking into the baking soda. Next, we're going to take our spoon and do some mixing. We're going to want to mix all of these bowls of baking soda and food coloring. So we'll have 3 separate bowls of the baking soda, the water, and the food coloring. So take some time to mix those. Your baking soda might be a little clumpy. That's totally okay. You might just have to work at it a little bit with a spoon. If you need to ask your adult for help to kind of mix more thoroughly, that's totally fine as well. Parent help is more than welcome. So, like I said, as you can see here, mine looks a little clumpy. But, like I said, that's okay. You might just have to work at it a little bit with your spoon. Take some time to really mix it. And get that all stirred together. All right, so now that mine is all mixed, I am already noticing a difference. See, this one looks much more dry than this one. So I'm thinking I might have to add a little bit more baking soda to this bowl, just so it has more of a clumpy texture, because when we're molding our dinosaur eggs, we will want it to form that egg, obviously. So if we have a little bit more clumpiness, it might help mold the egg better if the baking soda will stick together. And because this one is a little wet and runny, it doesn't really look like it's going to stick very well. So I'm just going to sprinkle a tad bit more baking soda into this bowl here. And that's kind of one of the best parts of conducting a science experiment, is it's all about trial and error, just experimenting with different things and seeing what works. So if you find that you need to add a little bit more water or a little bit more baking soda, that's totally okay, because that's exactly what science is about. All right, so this one still looks a little bit wet, but it does look better. So I think I'm going to leave it for now and kind of just see how it works when we're molding our eggs. All right, so now we're going to take those dinosaurs. We're just going to do one at a time. So grab one dinosaur and go ahead and stick it in your bowl in the middle of your mixture there. And now is the part that might get a little bit messy. You're basically going to have to just mold your egg over the dinosaur. So you might have to do a little kneading. So don't be afraid to use your hands, and you're kind of just going to pick up a clump of the baking soda water mixture and knead it with your hands, kind of like how you do when you bake cookies. If you guys ever make cookies at home, you'll be familiar with what it means to knead. It's basically just kind of forming little balls in your hand. You may have also done that like when you're playing with slime or Play-Doh. So once you have a chunk of that baking soda and water mixture formed, go ahead, stick your dinosaur on top of it. I found this was the easiest way to make an egg. And then kind of just pick up more of that mixture and just mold it around the dinosaur. And again, if you need help from your adults to help knead or mold, that is totally okay. And you might just kind of have to repeat those kneading motions to really get the egg to mold. So just remember to take your time, because science is a form of art and you cannot rush art or science. You cannot rush perfection. So go ahead, mold that egg. And if you find that yours is a little too wet, add some more baking soda. I feel like this mixture right here is pretty much the perfect consistency for me, at least. It is working. I'm just going to continue kneading it a little bit more. That way the egg won't fall apart. All right, and now I have one dinosaur egg. Now that I'm done with that one, I'm just going to set it aside on my tray here. But when you're setting it down, make sure you set it down carefully so it doesn't fall apart. All right, so now that we've done one of the more dry mixtures, let's go ahead and try this goopy one. Let's see if it works. I'm not sure if it will, but like I said, science is all about trial and error. So I'm going to take another one of my mini dinosaurs, place them inside, and just continue kneading. All right, so I already have the dinosaur kind of smushed into this mixture here, and I can already tell that this one is too wet. It's just not going to stick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle some more baking soda right over the dinosaur in the egg and see if that helps. All right, it does seem to be forming slightly better now that there is a little more baking soda mixed in. So let's see if this works. Well, it looks pretty good to me. What do you guys think? His little head is poking out here, but I think I can still add more so the dinosaur is completely hidden. All right, looks like I got this one down. I just needed to add a little bit more baking soda, and now he is ready to go. I'm just going to try covering up his head. And now I have my my second dinosaur egg. His head is poking out a little bit, but I think that's okay. And I'm going to set him down right there. And now move on to our last mini dinosaur. This mixture is also very dry like the first one, so it should work. And once we are done molding our dinosaur eggs, we are going to use those plastic droppers and drop some vinegar onto the dinosaur eggs. And once we do that, what do you think is going to happen? While we are molding and kneading our last dinosaur egg, why don't you kind of take a moment to think about what your hypothesis is. If you don't know what hypothesis means, a hypothesis is basically just an educated guess. So take a guess as to what you think might happen when we pour vinegar over our dinosaur eggs. Do you think the dinosaur eggs will absorb the vinegar? Or do you think the vinegar will wash away the baking soda? What is your hypothesis or your prediction? Take a moment to think about that. All right, now I have my third and last dinosaur egg. And we're ready to use our vinegar. So I'm just going to move these cups out of the way. I want to make sure I have enough space to really drop my vinegar. So now is the time when you will need that plastic plate, the plastic tray, the aluminum pan, whatever you have at home that's basically not plastic or foam. Because like I said, we don't want any plastic or foam plates to be absorbing the vinegar, so your best bet is to use something glass, plastic, or aluminum. All right, so go ahead. We're going to take a few drops of our vinegar here and see what happens. Let's just drop a few on this first egg here. So I see already a little bit after just that drop that it's fizzing a little bit. There's some bubble action going on here. And I can hear the fizzing too. It almost looks like it's foaming. So let's continue. Let's see if we can reach the dinosaur in the middle of the egg. It looks like some of it is already washing away. Wow, that was a really big fizz. So I guess we'll have to keep dropping vinegar on these eggs to see what happens. And I can already see the dinosaur's tail here. And there we go, there's our dinosaur. All right, so now that we have fizzed away our dinosaur that was in the dry egg, let's go ahead and try this one, because if you remember this middle egg here, this is the one that was a little bit wet when we started. And so the mixture for this egg is slightly different than this one. So let's see if this one fizzes away as quickly as the first egg. I have a feeling it might take not as long because there's less baking soda. That's my hypothesis, but let's see what happens. Well, I can already see his head here, but his head was sticking out a little bit already. So let's see if we can see more of his body. What do you guys think? Do you think this one is fizzing away more quickly or more slowly? I think my hypothesis might have been incorrect. It looks like he is fizzing away even quicker than the first one. Hopefully you guys are having just as much fun fizzing away your eggs as I am right now. All right, and here he is, pretty much all fizzed away. Our second dinosaur here. All right, I think you guys pretty much got the point now of how to fizz away your dinosaur eggs using your vinegar. So I think I'm going to leave that last egg up to you guys to do on your own. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had just as much fun as I did. Stay tuned for our next video next month, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye-bye.